Russian dancing man, oh yes, we're Russian dancing man, I'm dancing with a...
This is my first time making a review on a AAA game. All of my previous reviews have been on recent indie games, but after deciding to play Metro Exodus, I decided that I wanted to get my views about the game out there. This review is going to spoil the game. If you haven't played the game, then I wouldn't recommend watching this. This game is amazing and is definitely worth experiencing for yourself. So with that said, let's get into it. Ages upon ages ago, I watched a video called Kraken's Quest for Cabbage, a video that's over 8 years old. This video involves Kraken just playing through Metro 2033 whilst commentating and mocking characters in a comedic Russian accent.
Artyom, to you! Hell, if not for you, Artyom, we'd have been shredded like cabbage. You deserve a medal. Or at least some extra ammo. Here, take them. To you,
Little did young me know, this video planted a seed in my young mind. And when Metro Last Light was released, I found myself watching reviews and let's plays of the game. Eventually, Metro Last Light for the Xbox 360 was made free with the Xbox Live Games with Gold program in 2015. And I finally got to take a crack at the game for myself. And I found myself instantly immersed and interested. Metro Last Light was released in 2013, yet a new installment in the Metro series wouldn't be seen until, well, earlier this year. That is, 6 whole years without a new game in the series, which is quite a long time. How does this new game hold up compared to previous entries? Metro Exodus is quite possibly one of the best single-player games to come out in the past several years. Out of everything, this game stands out amongst the trashy EA games and the mediocre Ubisoft open-world snorefests. The game has much more thought and care put into it than any other game made by those same studios to come out in the past half-decade. Artyom, the silent protagonist from the previous games, finds himself tired of the Metros and begins exploring the outside world despite radiation levels and mutants making such trips quite risky, and constant pressure from his family and friends to remain underground. Eventually, Artyom's exploring leads to Artyom and his wife being captured by a hostile faction. In this hostile station, Artyom, Anna, and a newly befriended train engineer escape on a large steam locomotive. From here, Artyom's journey begins. After spending his whole life being indoctrinated into believing that life beyond the confines of the Metro was non-existent, Artyom, his wife Anna, her father, and several other friends of his set off to find new land to explore and possibly settle in.
So let us not fear the headaches at our door, even with the iron sticks standing before us, stinking of machine oil and shining in red upon us. Remember, most of the country has been destroyed or occupied, even those who speak our language.
Already, Metro Exodus sets itself up for excellence. You live life on the railroad. Never was there a moment where I didn't appreciate the hulking beast that is Aurora, your very own post-apocalyptic steam locomotive. Seriously, whoever came up with the idea for Metro Exodus is a fucking genius. You're just out there exploring the post-apocalyptic wasteland of Russia, getting to take in the aftermath of each front of a nuclear war from your train. Just how badass does that sound? Not only is it fucking awesome, this setup makes for a game with all types of diverse and interesting locations. The steam locomotive of your group is a great place to start. The Aurora is such an awesome form of travel, a gigantic train fed by charcoal. The wheels spin only as the gears turn. The gears turn only as charcoal is fed, and as that charcoal is fed, steam is constantly pumping. The Aurora makes for a badass form of travel. Not only do you have the train, as you move along, you get new train cars in addition to Aurora to make it even more cool. Hell, even in the end whenever I was genuinely convinced that Artyom might actually die, I was sitting there saying to myself, damn, come on, I just want to see Aurora one last time. And whenever it finally rushed on scene, gigantic and powerful with its new snowplow, I felt a bit of pride just looking at what I created. And not only is it a marvel to the eyes, it makes for a great and creative plot device. I absolutely love games with unique and diverse environments. It makes playing through levels much more fun and much less boring. Playing through the original Half-Life, I found myself getting bored of the steel look, but the outside sections and surface tensions shook the gameplay and environment up and made the whole experience much more fun. But a better comparison would be Half-Life 2. Throughout Half-Life 2, you play in a city, zombie-infested towns, coastal outposts, a prison, etc. In Metro Exodus, you go from the cramped metros of Moscow to an icy village, to the Caspian Desert, to a luscious green forest. I'll save the last level for later. Environmental diversity in games can be a great thing, whether it's just shaking it up before returning to the normal location or a whole game based around traveling through different areas. When games have this level of diversity, often going from start to finish can feel like a journey, and Metro Exodus sure as hell fits the bill of being a journey. You go from hell to paradise in the matter of several thousand kilometers by train, and meet new friends along the way. Not only does this game wow me in terms of a game, it literally changed my perception of my own hometown. I always thought, God, I hate North Carolina, it's just a bunch of trees and dilapidated houses. And then I played this game over the span of 3 days, and the morning after I completed the game, I stepped outside and thought to myself, good God, am I happy I'm not living in Metro. This game's environments are not just cool looking, they're downright depressing, and sometimes fucking terrifying in horror segments. Very few games have ever legitimately spooked me. The only one that I can think of was SCP Containment Breach, but nothing else has really given me such a feeling. While I must say I didn't get the same pause the game to take a breather scared, I did definitely tense up in certain sections, especially in the end. While it might not have pierced my steel nerves, holy shit, I would not recommend this game to anyone faint of heart. This shit gets tense, really tense in horror segments. By far the scariest part of the game is near the end when you're rowing a boat through a long, dead metro in a different city. The corpses of dead survivors lay around, and here you are, slowly rowing your boat through disgusting water. Just slowly going through the water, one push at a time. This section is secretly fucking genius. The Metro Exodus developers did a very good job by deciding to use a rowboat instead of a motorboat. You aren't pushed forward by a machine, you are the one pushing yourself toward what must feel like inevitable demise. Not because you have a choice, but because you must, if you want to make it out of the metro alive and secure medicine to rescue your dying wife. Walking through this dead metro as strange mutants spit acid at you, exploring previous battlegrounds and having to walk on top of piled skeletons. The entire last level is absolutely amazing. Driving through the dead city with only Miller to back you up is depressing, but what you see once you enter the metro is more depressing than any other atmosphere in the game. It's hard to describe the feeling as you explore this metro. The completely silent and dead metro tells many stories without speaking a single word, and as you explore further you find notes that tell more of its demise. Still, nothing came close to the segment in which you are separated from Miller and the child you met along the way. Upon leaving, you get into a rowboat and end up getting ambushed by several large worm creatures that move fast and spit acid at you. These creatures attack in an area which is already dark, dreary, and disgusting, and what awaits for you once you exit the metro? The game goes from tense to full-on psychological horror as RDM takes in lethal levels of radiation. Later, Artyom takes anti-rad, which gives him just enough energy to reach the hospital which holds the medicine. Though as Artyom makes his way, he continues to have hallucinations, envisioning himself being too late and his wife dying. You must stumble past these large mutant yeti creatures into the hospital, narrowly avoiding them and getting the medicine. After this, Artyom just barely dodges death, escaping one of the mutants, and then once again nearly dies of radiation poisoning before Miller and the child come to his rescue. There's other scenes earlier in this game with similar looks, but none compared to the entire last level. Good gameplay is one of the most important parts of a game, and it certainly isn't something that Metro Exodus is missing. Metro Exodus has good gunplay, simple and functional stealth mechanics, interesting and diverse enemy design, solid enemy AI, and solid level design aside from a few moments. Everything works together perfectly, and complements the atmosphere and settings of the game. You can either play the game as I did, attempting to remain non-lethal throughout every encounter, or you can kill everything you see. Personally, I believe that if you go non-lethal, or you just go stealthy, you'll get the most out of the game. You'll still experience combat with firearms when necessary, but levels will go by slower, and the slower pacing of sneaking through enemy territory will allow you to take in your surroundings and enjoy the game. Not only is fighting humans fun, fighting mutants is actually great. The mutants all have unpredictable movements and attack patterns, making each mutant fight feel fun. You might get ambushed by a pack of fast-running, yet weak lurkers, or agile humanoid mutants which will dodge your shots and even sometimes ambush you by means of hiding in sand. These strange attack patterns and movements will make each encounter feel fresh and unique. After Artyom and his group of friends and family leave the metros, they set out to find new land to cultivate and settle in. First, they come upon an icy village. The air is clean and breathable, but there's a bad mutant problem, a group of religious fanatics who see technology as vile, and bandits roam freely. In this area, the Aurora stops in need of repairs, and upon meeting the locals, you gain 2 new friends to join you on your journey. With the joining of 2 new people, the gang realizes that they need a train car to fit the whole group, and eventually get a second train car to house the whole group. Before the train car is acquired, Artyom's wife Anna slips and falls into an abandoned ammo dump, and Artyom is alerted to her disappearance. Artyom puts her mask on and must fight through many mutants, possibly while low on ammo and health to make the situation even more tense to get to an exit. This moment may seem insignificant. Anna makes it out alive and feels fine afterwards aside from developing a cough, but later this moment will be important. Afterwards, the group must infiltrate a bridge held down by locals to lower it, and drive across. Artyom successfully carries this mission out, though in the process a group member is killed. After this, the group gets in contact with local survivors on a radio broadcast who invite the group to a safe area where they can settle, and naivety gets the best out of them and they head out to the coordinates. When they arrive, they find not a safe place full of friendly people. They find a disgusting bunker packed to the brim with brainwashed cannibals and narrowly escape. Continuing on, the group's next target is a facility in the Caspian Desert which houses maps of radiation levels in the wasteland. The group travels this area and finds the people aren't any friendlier. The people are slavers who don't take kindly to newcomers. This area is strange. While the game gives you more freedoms, like getting your own car to roam the desert with, it feels oddly linear compared to the previous segment. Linearity isn't a problem. I can find value in both linearity and non-linearity, but the gradual increase in linearity feels strange in this game. Never have I seen a game go from less linear to more linear. Anyways, after retrieving the radiation maps from the abandoned facility, you must get another train car, this one to hold water for the group. After getting what you need, the map leads you to a luscious green forest with minuscule amounts of radiation. During your travel to this forest, Anna announces to the group that she has a serious lung disease. She got this lung disease when she fell in the abandoned ammo dump without a mask, and it's been eating away at her lungs ever since. This is where things begin to get bad. Anna has a deadly disease that can only be cured with a special medicine found only in a specific city. But the group continues on to the forest. Upon arrival to this forest area, you and a group member are sent to scout the area out before the Aurora heads in. During your scouting on a small rail car, you crash and are separated from your partner. From here on, the game is almost completely linear, and you must escape from a forest full of tribals wielding makeshift guns and crossbows. This is the one part of the game where the linearity actually begins to feel weird, and the quality of the game began to dip ever so slightly, though most things weren't too bad, just very small specific things that I didn't like a gate with little openings that you can't actually shoot through. There's also a few sections where the level design could have done a better job at pointing out where to go. But most annoying of all, the bandits that are slowly entering the area only have a few voice lines, so they'll just constantly repeat the same lines over and over again. While these things were somewhat annoying, I was able to look past them and enjoy the area just as much as the previous sections. After you escape, you find that the area is practically a ticking time bomb due to a dam that is about to collapse. Your group quickly leaves the area, though not before one member gets a little bit love-stricken with one of the tribals. With Anna's condition worsening, your group sends Aurora full steam ahead towards Novosibirsk, a dead city left almost completely silent due to extreme radiation. Novosibirsk is the only place that houses the medicine to help Anna, but due to the extreme radiation, you must wear a heavily padded suit and use a padded van to get from longer distances. Your suit will only save you from so much radiation, so you must go as fast as possible. Due to not having enough materials, there is only 2 radiation suits. Anna's father, Miller, appoints himself as the one to go alongside you. A looming sense of dread began to overcome me as Artyom and Miller entered the padded van. A sense that this would be a one-way trip for at least one of us. You and Miller travel through hell and back and find a child all alone in the abandoned metros. He tells you of a place where you can safely settle. Artyom barely makes it out of the metro and is on the brink of death upon exiting the hospital with the medicine for Anna. Miller makes it to Artyom's location and heroically sacrifices his own anti-radiation to save Artyom, leaving himself to die. You just barely make it back to the van and pass out. You wake up to see Miller struggling his hardest to keep driving. Barely alive, you black out once again. You awaken again to see Miller passed out in the passenger seat, the child desperately trying to wake you up. You eventually get into the driver's seat and drive towards the train tracks whilst desperately hanging on to life. You finally make it to the train tracks, and immediately pass out. You finally awaken. Miller is still in the passenger seat. Artyom moves his hand over to Miller and tries to wake him. It's obvious that Miller's fate is sealed. Miller is gone. The child comes back to help pull you from the car as you can hear Aurora steaming ahead towards your position. Aurora pulls up with a new snowplow attachment. As it stops, your whole group jumps out to come assist you. The crew helps revive Artyom, and Anna is held back to life thanks to the medicine you risked your life and Miller sacrificed himself for. As the crew revives Artyom, he blacks in and out, having visions of him and Miller walking towards a light, obviously representing death. Miller tells Artyom how great it will be, while Artyom still holds on. Eventually Artyom is revived back to full health, and the Aurora charges ahead towards his next destination. This moment's poetic. You can tell that Miller has found peace in death, and he recognizes that Artyom still has a wife to live out. The Aurora reaches the safe area and the crew settles. The game ends on a happy note, and has left me satisfied. This happy ending feels great, especially after dealing with the incredibly harsh, depressing world of Metro. You finally find happiness and peace.
Makes you believe real life is possible. Not the petty rat race we had back in the metro. I just have to say, you were right, Artyom. Right for wanting to get us out, bring us here. And I, the old fool, I was simply afraid. Afraid of life, as I see now.